Hey, what's going on, everybody? We put out a video last night breaking down the ins and outs of Hollywood Demons Episode 3, Dark Side of the Power Rangers. But today, I wanted to make a video breaking down the 6 most shocking moments on this show. It was 2 hours long, and there were a few moments that had my jaw drop, and I want to talk about those. Let's get into it. Hit that intro, Rangers.
You are watching the Fan Club.
You're watching the Fan Club.
And you're watching the Fan Club. Do you know what time it is?
And you know what time it is.
It's time for the Fan Club. Let's go. Hey!
I can't do this on my own, cause you know things ain't always sweet when you out here in these streets. But my morpher when it morphed, I made a fake one.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fan Club. We are so happy to have you guys. In this video, we are going to be talking about the 6 most shocking moments in the new little documentary titled Hollywood Demons Episode 3, Dark Side of the Power Rangers. Now, if you want a full review and breakdown of the ins and outs of the show, we just put out one of those last night, so go check that out. Today, I wanted to focus on these really shocking moments and things that I didn't know about Power Rangers, and there's always going to be things that we learn about years later because there are so many seasons, actors, directors, and they did a good job getting a handful of different people in the Power Rangers scene to come up and talk. Now, let's get into some of these shocking moments. One of the most shocking moments was the Twee Trang story, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about both of the stories they told about Twee. And we obviously know at this point she was in a car accident and she passed away in 2001. But they actually got a girl by the name of Angela who was in the car with her. So she gives a description of the events, how it all went down. That was pretty shocking, but that was something that I've seen before. There's interviews of Angela out there on YouTube. The real shocking moment for me was they told a story about Twee Trang standing up to Saban and the execs at Fox. They said there was like this big meeting and all the big bosses were in the room, and Twee goes up to the mic or podium and starts kind of talking a little bit of smack like, hey, we're putting on a show for you guys. Why don't you put on a show for us since we've got the #1 rated show right now? And then they said not that long after that, they were gone. We're talking about Austin St. John, Walter Jones, Twee Trang, and they mentioned many times that Haim Saban had full control over all of the actors. They talked about how bad the contracts were, that some people wouldn't even sign the contract because, one, they were scared to be typecast because Power Ranger actors can be typecast, but they weren't making anything and they don't own any of the rights of their face or likeness or anything like that. So Power Rangers did $1 billion in that first few years in toy sales, and the Rangers didn't get anything of that. So I see like both sides, honestly. I see Saban trying to be like the greedy businessman and save as much money as he can and giving these people opportunities because they were quote unquote no-name actors. However, once the show started hitting, you could have given these guys a substantial raise to keep them around. And eventually you're going to have actors that tweak out, freak out, crash out, whatever you want to say, and they're going to leave. And this was a recurring thing for all of the Saban years. It wasn't like it was just the OG3. That's why I kind of hated that the original 6 didn't come together, because Haim Saban might have been able to recast like half of them, but he couldn't have recasted all 6. There's no way that you were going to be able to recast Jason and Tommy and Billy and Trini and Kimberly. You get it? Like, No freaking way. So if they would have came together, it would have made more sense. But at the same time, I feel like they either needed to like stay all at once or leave all at once. That was where they had their leverage, was the togetherness. Now let's move on to the next shocking moment. That was the whole JDF story. Now, you guys let me know what you think. Do you think that they did JDF a little bit dirty? Because now that he's passed away and, you know, he took his life, all that kind of stuff, now you're hearing these stories, and his wife Tammy said that he cheated on her multiple times. The toxicology report came out and said he was on a bunch of drugs. And I've met JDF many times, and every single time I met him, he treated me with respect. He treated my children with respect and my wife with respect. He was always a nice dude, and I don't think that's going to change the way I feel about him because I found out that he cheated on his wife and he's on drugs. I never put these guys on pedestals, though. That's the thing, is all of these actors, even though, you know, they have hundreds of episodes and they have toys and they're in movies, they're normal people like me and you, meaning they make mistakes. They can go to jail. They can cheat on their wives. They can do drugs just like anybody else you work with or see out in public can. People go through struggles, and I think some people are going to be mad when they find these things out. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to judge the next person because it sounds like bro was going through a lot, and I've never walked a day in JDF's shoes, but I hear that he would stay late. He would try super hard to kind of overwork himself, so he was always at cons and stuff like that. And I think that took a toll on him. There was a lot of things in his life that took a toll on him. It sounded like after his wife filed for a divorce, that was when a lot of the Ranger actors said that he just had like a different vibe to him. He wasn't the same no more. He didn't seem as happy, and he told a few people that he was going through stuff. He also told Jason Font something about like what was going on with him, but Jason didn't really share it. I mean, and that's his business to share or not share, but it sounded like JDF was going through a few things. Then we're going to talk briefly about the Audrey Dubois story. Now, if you don't know who Audrey is, she was the original Yellow Ranger for the pilot. And she actually talks about her experience on the pilot, tells a story about a putty suit actor that passed out from dehydration, heat stroke, stuff like that. And she said that one of the producers said, "Yo, I got $100. Whoever takes off his wetsuit, puts it on, and wraps up the scene will get this $100. She said somebody did it, and the guy that was like had heat stroke was just laying in the sand, rolling around in his underwear until an ambulance came. Wild scene, okay? That was a shocking moment. Never heard that story. We also got to hear why Audrey Dubois did not go on to the show. Why did she leave? And she was one of the few that actually second guessed the contract right away. And there was a lot of wording in there that pretty much said you wasn't going to make much and you weren't going to have any rights. And yes, it was an opportunity for a TV show that was on national television at the time, but she didn't see it as an opportunity as some other people did. And I think now she does regret it because Power Rangers went on to be this global thing. And because they did the show, they get to do all the Comic-Cons and all the perks that comes with it. They didn't make a lot at the time. And who would have known that they were going to be able to do cons and stuff like that? Because cons were not what they were in the 90s. They were almost like literally comic book conventions, and you were lucky if every once in a while a Stan Lee or somebody would pop up, but that's about it. All right, there was like no thinking about, yo, if I sign this in 20 years, I'm going to be able to like write a bunch of autographs. That was never a mindset because Power Rangers wasn't big yet. the only people that really knew what it could be were the people at the top that were putting it together, right? And I don't blame anybody that looked at those numbers and was like, damn, like, I don't know if I want to do this, because if I put myself in their shoes, I might have had second thoughts too. I totally get it. The next shocking moment I wanted to talk about was they finally admitted about the infamous casting color mistake, okay? We all know that the first season and a half, Zach the Black Ranger was black and Trini the Yellow Ranger was Asian. And for years, I remember being in like grade school and people talking about that. Like, why did they do the Black Ranger like that? And Tony Oliver, one of the producers on the show, I thought it was really cool they got Tony, by the way. He was talking about how they didn't really realize it at first, and it was like an innocent mistake, and one of his staff members had to point it out, and he was like, oh my god, it was such a terrible mistake. It was a mistake. I can't believe we did that, and it happened. But at the same time, Zach, at least, I don't know how Trini felt or how Twee Trang felt about it, but Walter Jones has gone on the record many times saying, I love that I'm the Black Ranger. I think it's cool. Like, I'm black, I'm the Black Ranger. I don't really have a problem with that. And that's his experience, right? Now, I wonder if they ever realized it, or I wonder when they did realize it, I should say, what that moment was like. Did they care? Were they like, well, we're already here, we're just gonna have to deal with it? I wonder, man. That would have been a pretty crazy moment to be a fly on the wall at that meeting right there. All right, the next shocking moment we got to talk about is they had interrogation footage of the person that tried to off JDF. That was wild, man. Okay, so y'all know about the story, what, like 7-8 years ago, this dude with the Punisher shirt heads over to a Phoenix convention where Jason David Frank was, and he comes with like a gun, tries to take him out. Like, that was such a wild story. It made like national news everywhere. Like, what in the hell? I remember my one uncle was texting me about this. I didn't even know they knew what Power Rangers was, but they knew I did. And they were like, yo, did you hear about the Green Ranger almost got assassinated? I'm like, wait, what? I had to go online and read about it. Well, anyways, they had interrogation footage of the dude, of the like attempted murderer guy, and he was whacked out. He literally thought the JDF was like evil and he wanted to punish him. He was wearing a Punisher shirt. He said that JDF is a giant coke dealer and needs to be taken out, and he's not a Power Ranger, he's evil. And like the police are like, yo, so you wanted to punish him? He's like, yeah, I wanted to punish him. Like, it was wild, man. I can't believe they got that footage. They did a pretty decent job on this documentary, I'm not going to lie. All right, our last shocking moment, and that was the whole Ricardo Medina situation. Now, I have watched a bunch of different interviews and videos about this, so most of what was talked about, I knew, but there were so many people that didn't know like the full gist of the story. They've just like read a mini article or saw like 20 seconds of a clip of the news or something like that, but they didn't really know what happened. Now, this is just kind of a one-sided story telling it, but they actually interviewed the sister of the man that was allegedly offed by Ricardo Medina. Now, that was pretty shocking for a lot of people. Go watch that. They talk about how, you know, at first he was released, and then once they started to look more into it, they realized that he was guilty. They also talk about him being released in 2020, and I thought they did a good job covering all of the dark sides of Power Rangers. Now, I know some people were kind of complaining because it is all about the dirt of Power Rangers, all right? There isn't a lot of positive except for that first like 10-15 minutes where they're building it up and talking about the hype. There was like a lot of nostalgia there, but then it gets into all of the darkness. And yeah, if you want to make a case that there's a Power Ranger curse, you could, but I will remind you that Power Rangers has more seasons and more superhero characters than most franchises, meaning that like for years, every single year they were getting 6 to 7 new Rangers, recasting them, and they were all young, meaning that like at the time they probably had all blank slates. But as you get older, some of these guys can get into legal trouble. Some of these guys are really good people though. I think overall, if you look at like the percentages of Rangers that have gotten into crazy trouble with the law, it's very low because there's so many damn Power Rangers. If you think about it, we have more Rangers than any other superhero base has superheroes because they cast so many Rangers. So like, of course, there's gonna be some bad apples. That's like a workplace, right? So think about it. If you employ 1,000 people, I bet in the next 20 years, 5 to 10 of those guys might go to jail. Like, I mean, it's just society. It's human nature. Somebody eventually is going to get in trouble. So I don't fully believe in a Power Ranger curse. I think a lot of those people that have worked on these shows are good people and weren't part of the crap, but we're going to always talk about the negative over the positive, obviously, because negative sells. But what are your thoughts? Did I leave out some shocking moments? If you want a full breakdown of the show, go watch our review. But thank you to all the fans out there that take the time out of their day to watch this content. You are the real MVPs and the reason why we continue to make stuff like this. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Peace. I want to give a special shout out to the Gold Ranger members Salima Ramirez, Stephen Heffelman, Anime King Nick, Louis Cairns, Thomas Franco, and Roderick Ham. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you want a video shout out like this one, sign up to be a Gold Ranger member today. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, hit that share button, and if you can, please sign up to be a member today. We have 3 membership power-ups. We have the Gold Ranger power-up, the most popular. You get into our exclusive fan club chat group. We have fan-exclusive videos that we are adding monthly now. And you get a video shout out. Yes, folks, at the end of our videos, I will shout out your name. We also have the Quantum Ranger power up where you get monthly meetings online with me. Yes, folks, we will talk once a month on Zoom and you can give me your ideas for future episodes. And then we have a professional package, the Dr. K power up. That is for businesses that want to tap into the platform. If you guys can, please sign up to be a member today. It is highly appreciated and it helps us keep these videos going. Thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Hi, we're Bulk and Skull. We have been requested by the fan club to say something funny.